In Denmark there is a long and proud tradition of craftsmanship, and the education of craftsmen is embedded in the workplaces. So we have a two-tier system of a schooling part and a workplace part, and this creates a responsibility for the craftsmanship education with the social partners. And this is a very good quality, because it creates a good correspondence between the qualifications in the VET education programs and the demand on the labor market. And you can also see this in Denmark with that we have a relatively low youth unemployment rate if you compare us to other European countries. I would say that the recent reform of the VET program system does address a lot of the important issues for better quality of the system. And that is, for instance, creating better youth education environment, heightening the quality of education in schools, for instance, through better teacher qualifications, and also fighting dropout rates, which are in Denmark relatively high in VET programs, and these types of issues. So I would say that the recent VET reform does address a lot of the major issues. Some of the issues that are kind of weak in the VET reform program, that would be, for instance, the transition from basic school to youth education, the transition from school to VET programs and to the so-called gymnasium in Denmark, which is the same thing as more school-based high school, you can say. This transition should be strengthened through, for instance, better guidance, career guidance, this part has not been addressed sufficiently, I would say. There is also the fact that the politicians have passed the VET reform, but they have not yet had the decision power, you can say, to pass a reform of the gymnasium, the more high school-based youth education. And in fact, the majority of young people leaving school, they go this way to the gymnasium. For the overall youth education system, we still need this reform to be passed in Parliament, and we are looking forward to that. And this also has to do with a very important objective of the VET reform, and that is to have more young people to choose a VET education program. And this is because that we can see that the labor market needs more skilled workers in the near future, and so this is really a problem that most of the young people choose the more school-based gymnasium, you can say that. And I think this reform of the overall youth education system is one of the ways to get closer to these objectives. A lot of the issues, when you view it in employers' perspective, are the same, but there are some differences as well. For instance, in the municipalities, the demand for skilled labor is not as high anymore as it is in the private labor market. So I would say regarding, for instance, the need for training places, this need is higher in the private sector right now and in the near future than it is in the municipalities. And then you can also say that the municipalities, the local governments, also have the responsibility of being authority for basic school and for young unemployed people. So in this respect, there is also a large interest that young people do well and that young people get an education that they can use to find a job in the labor market. So in this respect, we also have an interest in vocational education and training programs.